Media would be prevented from covering any matters involving juvenile offenders, and a legislation being considered in the Northern Territory. Matt Cunningham joins me live from Darwin, where the legislation is being debated at a scrutiny committee hearing today. Matt, what's prompted this move?
Well, Stacey, this all comes from a recommendation from the Royal Commission into child protection and detention here in the Northern Territory. Of course, that was sparked by that footage from inside the Dondale Detention Centre. Now, it has been discussed at this scrutiny committee today. There are obviously people who are in favour of this, including human rights lawyers. They say that covering these issues in the youth court stigmatises these children and can leave a permanent mark on them. But it's also being opposed by many sections of the public, including obviously the media. But here's Shalina Musk from the Human Rights Law Centre talking about this issue at that scrutiny committee today.
I've had young people, particularly with social media where it's posted, then that's their brand. It can impact on their reputation and their identity. You know, it's really dangerous because you're then further categorising and marginalising that person as a criminal, as opposed to there shouldn't be any mention of this.
Stacey, the Northern Territory is actually the only jurisdiction in Australia where juvenile offenders who are before the youth court can actually be named and have their images shown. However, in practice, that almost never happens. Almost every time that a youth offender is in court and there are media present, a suppression order is placed on the publication of their name or any identifying details. Now, the Darwin Press Club's made a submission to this scrutiny committee. It says that it would be happy for the Northern Territory to fall in line with other jurisdictions in the country, which would prevent the naming of juvenile offenders. However, it is very much opposed to this idea that the youth court should be closed altogether. That's what the current legislation is proposing. Now, the Attorney-General, Natasha Fyles, has spoken about this issue. It appears that the government looks like it may be open to a bit of leeway. Here's a bit of what Natasha Fyles had to say.
So this legislation has been introduced by the Minister on the advice around ensuring that we change our youth justice system. We know that we need to do that. We had a Royal Commission into youth justice. But yes, we need to take on board the community's views, and that's what these scrutiny committee processes allow.
So, Stacey, the government says it will take on advice that it gets from this scrutiny committee hearing into this proposed legislation before it brings that final legislation before the Parliament sometime later this year.